Now, as of recent, we did receive the usual drip marketing for the characters releasing in version 2.4, but for Cartethyia's gameplay to be officially revealed shortly after was quite a surprise I'm sure no one expected. Not too much was shown aside from a few basic attack strings and both liberations, but with just that short preview alone, Cartethyia's gameplay has seriously exceeded expectations, from animations to abilities and even the voice lines. Some may say that Cartethyia is in fact the true anniversary character of WutheringWaves, and with that, it's also fair to say that she has absolutely ruined the hype for the second phase of the anniversary, alongside making it significantly more difficult to even consider spending any Ashtrites. So then, with that being said, I do want to break down the potential Cartethyia holds from the official gameplay preview, the value of certain characters within the second phase of the anniversary following the release of 2.4's drip marketing, then I'll be ending it off with if those characters are even still worth picking up whilst knowing what will be dropping soon after. Before we jump into it, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Now, following the recent 2.4 drip marketing, it was a given that Cartethyia would have the ability to transform into Fleur-de-Lis. Though now, with the official gameplay preview, we know that it will be exactly like Zani's transformation mechanic, as Cartethyia will be able to transform into Fleur-de-Lis through the first Resonance Liberation. In specific, and as expected, Fleur-de-Lis will be the form that will deal the most damage, and even without seeing any numbers, just comparing the basic attack strings of Cartethyia and Fleur-de-Lis is more than enough confirmation. Now, even though it's just Fleur-de-Lis's basic attack string, the range it's capable of, and especially with the final basic attack, is insane, as the attack literally hits everyone within a massive radius. So with that, it does seem like Fleur-de-Lis's basic attacks may deal a large portion of damage within her rotation, similar to Zani, purely due to the final basic attack having way more range than necessary, and so then may be able to deal a lot of damage. Then to finish it off with Cartethyia's second Resonance Liberation, unlike Zani, Cartethyia's Liberation will in fact have a regular liberation animation, which definitely makes the point that Cartethyia is the true anniversary character a bit more believable. Of course, Zani's second liberation animation still does look great, but in comparison to a normal animation and especially Cartethyia's second animation, it could have definitely been much better. Now, with Fleur-de-Lis's liberation in specific, it really is just amazing, from the impact frames to the sound effects, but perhaps more importantly would be the ridiculous range and effect the attack leaves behind on the map. As simple as it is, the fact that Fleur-de-Lis leaves a cut on the ground from her sword arguably power creeps every ult in the game, which really goes to show the level of attention to detail they've had with this character. So with that, Cartethyia animation-wise is definitely going to be an amazing character. But more to do with her abilities, the fact that both the liberation and basic attacks have incredible range will certainly make Cartethyia one of the best characters in the game. That, of course, paired with the potential DPS she will be able to output, you can clearly see why she does pose a threat to other DPS characters, and especially those within the upcoming banners. Now, speaking of upcoming banners, alongside Ciaccona, we are going to be receiving rerun banners for Jinshi, Changli, Carlotta, Roccia, and Brant, which are all quite valuable and prevalent characters within the meta. So with that said, definitely feel free to summon for whichever character if you do really like them, since they will essentially guarantee value for your account. However, if we are considering who exactly would provide the most value as a main DPS in specific, it would then have to be Cartethyia, and so due to that, it would definitely be worth prioritizing and ensuring you do have enough to pick her up in 2.4. So then, as for the characters available just before her release, this is of course yet to be confirmed, but simply due to both Changli and Carlotta receiving summer outfits within version 2.4, I am very confident that they will in fact be returning again alongside the outfits within the next version update. Fortunately, that will be confirmed once the banners are available in 2.3, and if that ends up being the case, then I would highly suggest to skip them and save your Ashtrites for other characters, considering you will have a chance to pick them up again if you have enough Ashtrites after Cartethyia. However, if Carlotta and Changli aren't returning, which I'm sure won't be the case, to simply put it, Changli will be a necessary character only if you intend to pick up and utilize Lupa near optimal performance. As for Carlotta on the other hand, she is definitely one of the best if not the best overall main DPS currently. But due to Cartethyia's DPS potential and range alone, it might be the case that Cartethyia is going to be replacing Carlotta as the best overall main DPS on her release. So then, with Changli and Carlotta aside and potentially returning in 2.4, the rerun banners for Jinshi, Brant and Roccia would then be remaining. Now, very similar to Carlotta, Jinshi is definitely one of the best main DPS characters in the game due to the amount of absurd damage she can deal. Of course, she may not be the best for WuTheringWaves in particular, but for pretty much everything else, Jinshi is definitely an incredible main DPS. Now on the other hand, with Cartethyia, she will most likely be incredible for all content including WuTheringWaves, which then means overall she would be a much better main DPS than Jinshi. So even though you can still definitely opt to pick up Jinshi and clear through a lot of content, Cartethyia being able to clear more content even more comfortably would just be the better option to go with. Now with Roccia in specific, I will just keep this brief with saying purely due to the existence of Sanhua, it would be better to completely skip Roccia if you don't have enough to ensure Cartethyia. Roccia of course is still a great character and is one of the best sub-DPS characters in WuTheringWaves, but she just doesn't offer that much value, and especially if picking her up doesn't allow you to secure a character in 2.4. Finally, as for the most recent character to have a rerun banner, Brant is in fact in a similar predicament as Changli, where you would mostly want to consider picking him up if you are picking up Lupa in version 2.4. Once Changli essentially buffs Lupa's damage, Lupa will greatly benefit from Brant's supportive capabilities and in exchange will buff his damage significantly through the outro skill. So Brant isn't exactly in the same situation as Changli as he doesn't buff Lupa's damage, but will provide her with support to be more comfortable to play with in exchange for a massive damage buff. Now if you aren't picking up Lupa, then Brant I would say is still the most valuable rerun character in the second phase of 2.3, due to the sole reason he can play as either a sub-DPS or support, which allows him to have great team versatility as he provides a ton of value to various compositions. Although to consider prioritizing him over Cartethyia may not be the best decision for most players, especially for those that don't intend to build a monofusion composition. So overall, it's only fair to say that Cartethyia has pretty much shattered the possibility to summon for anything within the second phase of 2.3. Anything aside from Ciaccona, that is, given she will be the best in slot sub DPS for Cartethyia. But at the same time, you don't really want to prioritize Ciaccona over Cartethyia, given you wouldn't find much use for Ciaccona without Cartethyia unless you do have Jiyan. In addition, Ciaccona may not exactly be as necessary for Cartethyia as Phoebe is for Zani, as I do believe Cartethyia will have the ability to inflict stacks of arrow erosion herself, which then allows Cartethyia to synergize with other sub-DPS characters instead of Ciaccona. So all in all, just from a simple preview of Cartethyia's incredible abilities and potential, I can only assume that she has become the #1 priority for most players. However, for those that are prioritizing Lupa instead within 2.4, then of course you would want to consider the fusion duo within the second phase of 2.3 if you don't already have them. Aside from that, Cartethyia will most likely be the best character from all the upcoming banners and without a doubt, will certainly be one of if not the most powerful main DPS in the game. However, I do believe it's fair to mention that not pulling for her as you already have enough DPS characters is perfectly fine, considering she shouldn't really power creep current DPS characters in terms of damage by that much. So really, you would mainly want to consider pulling Cartethyia if you really like her design and animations. But of course, for those that do need a main DPS, you probably wouldn't be able to pick up a better character within the upcoming banners. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also, drop a comment down below on what you think about Cartethyia's gameplay and whether you are still aiming to pick up someone before her release. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.